Welcome to the show, Caniacs. We're here in the storm cellar. It hasn't been very breezy lately, but so far we're up 1-0 on Buffalo tonight. So I'm thinking Ray is going to be in a good mood. But how are you feeling, sir?
Anytime the Hurricanes are playing, I'm always in a good mood until the end of the game, and and then it depends from there. Right after watching the boys play and seeing how things go, that's how my ebb and flow of my mood goes throughout the day. And so we're up now, and that's great. And hey, we got the first goal of the game, which is unusual for us as Hurricanes. We're playing from behind for way too much for my liking. Being up in the game this early, nice. And it's the Sabres. So when you can put the boots to them early, take them out of the game right away. That's what we want to see. But I know we've got a great guest here too. Zach Martin joining us. We've always got room in the cellar for more Caniacs, more jerks like us. Zach, thanks for joining us. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, thanks for the invite, guys. No, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, the storm cellar feels a little roomy. You would think of ones that are kind of cramped. You got the cans against the wall. You have the provisions. You might have might have like a cot in the corner. No, it's kind of roomy in here. It's actually kind of nice. You can spread your arms out. All the good stuff.
Elbow room.
Yeah,
Kick back a little bit. Enjoy. Yeah, 100%. But
why
there's
not?
always room for more. Right? Always room for more. That's what we want.
For sure. Yeah, no, I appreciate things. Yeah, thanks for having me on tonight, guys. It's fun to talk about the Hurricanes. Yeah, it's been a little bit since I talked about hockey in general. With us at the Lamplayers, we've been more so Twitch heavy and stuff like that. So not a lot of podcasting the last I would say a few weeks. But no, I appreciate you coming on and talking hockey, especially about the Hurricanes, because why not talk about the Canes? Because people want to forget about them, but not this year. No, not this year. Not this year.
So to back up half a step, though, Zach, you have a podcast, you and our friend Alex. It's about hockey and men's mental health. You want to take like a minute and just give yourself a plug because, I think you guys do a great job. It's a lot of fun watching you chill and mental health kind of things out. But I think that's really important, and that's kind of what we're into here. So.
Yeah, no, it's not just mental health, not just men's mental health, but like mental health in general. It's something that we kind of want to talk about. And this is something that, we went through season 1 of the Lamplayers. We were originally the Cans and Tomahawks podcast. We were talking about the Jackets and the Hawks and stuff like that. And, we switched over to the Lamplayers. We want to do something more general, talk about the whole league and interject some, other hockey as well, the KHL, the minor league, CHL stuff like that, even college hockey. And then we wanted to do a little unique spin on it because everyone's, as you guys know, everyone and their mother has a hockey podcast. It's so saturated with, just hockey podcasts in general, from general to team specific stuff like that, league specific. So we want to do something a little different. And, me and, Alex, we've talked about on the podcast, and that's something like our new arc is for season 2 is that we wanted to talk about, mental health in general. Cause, Alex deals with his own thing. I deal with, general anxiety disorder, depression and stuff like that. And, I'm actually thinking about trying to try to go and get some more diagnosis on a couple other things that I may or may not have, just to get the full scope of what's going on. And, and I let people know, I'm going back to, going back to counseling again and stuff like that, just to help out with my mental health. But that's something we wanted to do, is give a safe space in a community for people to, come and hang out with us, talk hockey, talk about mental health and stuff like that, share their struggles, and, just have a nice community where it's like, you're safe to let us know how you're doing and stuff like that, and that you won't be judged, and that we're all here for each other to lift each other up. Because that's all we really want to do, is be able to have a community of uplifting each other and, being there for each other as more of a family. And we wanted to have more interactive. So that's what kind of the Twitch thing that we're doing now is, we're playing NHL 22 and stuff like that, but we're also, hanging out and talking and stuff like that. So it's a great season 2 push that we're doing, and a little nice trajectory path that we're on now with that all in general.
Zach, sorry, Brad, I'm just going to jump in right away and say thank you, Zach, because as someone myself who deals with depression and anxiety on a daily basis, it is a struggle. And for the longest time, the worst part about it is that the loneliness that you can feel, how alone it is and how difficult it is to talk about, and knowing that there are places where people do not judge, where they're willing to talk, and they actually understand what you're going through. so very important. So Zach, yeah, I get the chills just hearing you describe what you're doing. And I needed to get out there and say thank you for what you're doing because it's amazing and that's what's needed. And it's greatly appreciated. So kudos to you. Thank you.
Oh no, no problem. Yeah, it was really cool and I appreciate that. And that's something that, we're just trying to give back and be able to help out and stuff like that. And like I said, be more interactive with, our fans and just people in general. I think we've built a pretty good community from where we started at. And the great thing too is we got Eric from the same here organization to come on for our 50th show and our kickoff to the new health initiative. So it's kind of cool talking to him. It was a really cool interview and stuff like that. I mean, got what like really personal. Even for me, like I don't really talk about myself personally very much outside of counseling or talking to family. So that was kind of more of an episode where like I kind of knew how kind of much of a big deal it was for the fact this was this was our push for the new direction, and I felt like I had to get outside my comfort zone and actually bring up stuff. So like Brad's a little bit of a plug. Go check out that 50th episode from the Lamp Layers. I think it really gives people the perspective of the insight of what our like new trajectory path is and stuff like that. So it was definitely something that I had to, like I said, for me, how are people going to perceive the episode? How are they going to perceive us and stuff like that? And just me as a person. So it was kind of like, it was one of those episodes where I got emotional and also really vulnerable. So that was definitely, it was an episode of more of accepting and understanding that for me to help people out, I got to put myself out there. So that's what that episode was, a lot of doing that, pushing myself out there. So
Yep. I really like what you guys are doing. My mom suffered from borderline personality disorder. And if you don't know what that is, take a minute, look it up. It's as a family member, you're always on edge because you don't know if you're like, when you wake up in the morning, is it nice mom today, or is it, I don't like to say crazy mom because that's an outdated way to put it, or is it unexpected mom? And so I have issues having grown up like that. But I think in particular for hockey, where we talk about hockey players stitches, losing teeth, breaking arms, like coming back to the bench, and you got to be strong and you got to sit. And that's all physical things. But I think mentality is also applied to emotional things. Hockey players don't have depression and they don't have anxiety. They don't this and they do. They all do. And I think it's great that we're to a point in society in general and within the hockey community where things are changing and we can start talking about these things because you're right. Like nobody's alone in this. It's you and a million of your closest friends that you haven't met yet are all going through the same thing together. So I've joined your stream several times and always enjoyed it when I'm able to. I often can't stay long because it's normally when my kids go into bed. But I really think that what I've seen and heard from you guys, I think it's fantastic. So.
No, we appreciate that. Yeah, it's good to see you got Robin Leonard, Carey Price, a bunch of other, Jonathan Duran and a lot of guys like that. And unfortunately, with the passing of Jimmy, Hayes and stuff like that, that was a sad thing. But at least the family tried to put we want what happens. That way we can try to have his story help out too, because he was going through a lot. So it's good. Like we have a long path ahead to, I think, fully get it accepted, but at least it's a good start that we're finally seeing that people are opening up about it, and it's like people are being more aware of what's going on. We still got a long way to go, but at least we're seeing a start to an understanding of mental health is something that really needs to be addressed, and we really need to start breaking these ideals and ways of thinking about stuff like that. So
And I don't want to make this, this is going to sound like I'm setting a very low bar, but when you reach even one person, the importance is astronomical.
mm-hmm.
The fact that you're reaching out, and if you catch that one person who might be just looking for something to listen to or whatever, and they capture this message and stuff, if it helps that one person, then it's the benefits just you can't even describe. So again, it just is so important that you're doing it, and it's great. So yeah, just amazing, just amazing. Speaking of not so amazing, the Hurricanes lately, one win in their last five. guys, we were the Hurricanes, like a Category 5 right out to start the season. Where are we now? Where are we now?
Yeah, from no loss October into whatever November was. But I know what happened, Ray.
What's
So
that?
we played the Kraken, which that was the first loss I think in on that road trip, and
Yes.
they have since gone on to win most of their last 7, whereas we have gone 1-5-1. The Kraken stole our mojo. Straight out of Austin Powers.
No.
Straight out of Austin Powers. They slipped in the locker room. They stole our mojo. We got to find our mojo. It's in Seattle.
Ouch,
certainly
baby.
need it.
Very ouch.
Nicely played. Nicely played. So one of the things that because we're not playing like Hurricanes, I'm thinking to myself, what are we gonna do for the next show? What are we gonna do? You need to come up with like maybe a rating system. And if this has been taken by any other podcasts out there, I apologize. We're not trying to steal trademarks and stuff, but I thought we would do this today, guys. Let's take a look at our team and pick a few players and rate them as either a hurricane, a tropical storm, or a tropical depression. And Zach, you're the guest here. So you can pick wherever you want on the scale. If you want to start in tropical depression, great. If you want to start a hurricane, great. You start wherever you want. Pick your one player and lay it out for us. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Yeah, for me, I always try to look at the more positive side of things. So let's start with a hurricane. And I think the hurricane, are we going by like the last few weeks, or are we going to talk about the whole season in general?
Your choice.
Up to
your
you.
Call.
Up to you.
Your call.
Listen, so I would say, you know what, I'm going to say for hurricane, I'm going to say Seth Jarvis, because this kid, no one thought, like, you're like, okay, this kid's young. There's a possibility he might go back to juniors. He is like, they're gonna, like, how the first 10 games are going to go. Is he going to go back to juniors if they don't keep him? And if he gets on a hot start, what are they going to do? And we saw in the first 10 games, like, he came out on fire. Like, we see in the pregame, videos on Twitter, like, he's just zooming up and down the line, fist bumping everyone and just running back. Like, this kid is just full on energy, and he came out of the gate on fire, and as a Category 5 hurricane, like, automatically storming on everyone. And I think he's been playing really well. He's got a lot of goals, a lot of good assists. Like, there was a point in time he had like 4 goals in 4 games. That's how much of a start this kid was on. The crazy part is no one's really talking about him for the Calder, and I'm like, hello, this kid is really good. Like, I think we need to keep an eye on Seth Jarvis, because name a lot of guys at his age right now that can come in with a bunch of question marks, and he's setting the bar really high right now. And the fact that he's been consistently on fire, like, no matter where you have him in the lineup, he's still producing. So it's like he hasn't really lost a step. Yeah, he might go a game, maybe 2, without scoring a goal, but he still has a point somewhere, or he made some really big plays to kickstart an offense. So I think he's someone that outside of Carolina is getting overlooked. And it's like, maybe we need to start putting some eyes on Seth Jarvis, because it's a Yarvey party time in Raleigh, in my opinion. But for me, my hurricane right now is Seth Jarvis. The kid is phenomenal.
He is, absolutely. And sadly, I think all of the oxygen is being stolen out of the room by Lucas Raymond. He's kind of just he's into phenom type rookie behavior.
Yeah.
But let's not. Yeah, certainly you're right. Seth Jarvis should not be an afterthought, because he is playing well. And even though he's not always on the score sheet, that does not mean he's not making contributions well above his rookie status. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's playing like I don't want to say a veteran, but certainly well seasoned. Like, he's not out of place out there. He does not look out of place at all. He's been playing really well, and one of the few bright spots, frankly, in these last few games. Brad, who's your hurricane?
You got to know who I'm going to say, right? It's got to be Andrei Svechnikov. 21 points, second on the team, right behind 22 points Sebastian Aho. He's a +9. He's averaging 0.95 points per game played. And other than 1 or 2 games, even when he's not putting in points, you just look at him on the ice and you're like, dang, the last couple of games were losses, but in both games, I'm like, Svechnikov is flying. He's throwing the body, like, he's getting himself in position. He's taking shots. He's doing all the things you're asking of a still a pretty young guy. And so I got to go with Andre. I mean, it's probably a cheesy pick for me.
No,
but at the same time, he deserves it, right? I mean,
because look at his defense. Like his defense has been it's been phenomenal this year compared to seasons past, where like I think he's had that progression. Being with Rod for so many years, he's becoming that offensively minded guy that you would see. Now he's more of that 2-way, 200-foot player. That if he's completely on it on both ends of the ice, this dude is going to be like a force to be reckoned with. And when he hits the ice, something's going to happen. And I mean, how can I get hyped for what Jordan does with him before every single game in the videos where he just screams? And then how does it not get you hyped for him? Because that's what Andrei Svechnikov is. He's so Svech. He's just amazing. Like how can you not get excited for him, man?
He's like the Hurricanes hype man.
Pretty
much, yeah.
Yeah, you go. There is nothing wrong with that. And for me, if the only thing about Svech still that makes me just a tiny bit hesitant is his tendency for that excitement and exuberance gets away on him in taking some penalties at inopportune times. And it's just if he can control that and contain it just a little bit more. And I know that's picky. Svech is great. I love him. It's a very, very, it's not a wart. It's like a little pimple. It's a tiny blackhead on the, you know what I'm saying? It's very small.
A little mature Svech with another like 10 or 15 pounds on him, and I wouldn't get in his way.
No, not at all. Oh, just a quick update. Marty Nietzsche's 2-0 Hurricanes.
Hey, excellent. Love it. Nature. And, okay, so you bring him up. I had him somewhere else. It's nice to see that he's ramping things up. I'm going to pick my Hurricane now. And while Aho rather is the low-hanging fruit for selections of who's a Hurricane because he's there day in, day out, I'm going to go a little bit off the board. And Brad might be surprised at this, and it might shake a few people on this one. I'm going to select TDA as my Hurricane. And the reason why I select him is, look, his contributions on the ice offensively, he's doing exactly as we asked. Thus far, there has been what Brad, you heard me say it, put up and shut up at the start of the season. That's what I want. Put up and shut up. And he is doing exactly that. He's not taking stupid penalties. He's been feisty when we've needed him with a little abrasive and stuff like that, but he's not done. And it's exactly what we want. Now, if you see, I'm knocking on my head. That's me knocking on wood. That hoping that I have not put hex on him now to make this great start go away. But we needed points from the back end with Dougie Hamilton leaving, and he's giving us exactly that with no messing around. So he, again, not the low-hanging fruit selection for Hurricane. He's the guy I'm selecting for the Hurricane, and sadly out now because of COVID, which we'll talk about later. But I like what he's doing, and he's doing it the right way.
No, nothing wrong. It definitely vibed a lot of Caniacs, including myself, when you saw that news come up that the Hurricanes signed him. And because you remember what happened in New York, and you're like, yikes, that is a weird way for the Hurricanes to go down that path. And if my dad, who's a massive Hurricanes fan, has been since we moved to North Carolina and stuff like that. And he said, like, if he's with Rod will tell him Rod will show him the way of how to be a professional, be a pro's pro. And like, if he just goes there, produces, and like what you said, right, just shut up and do your job. And like, what have you heard out of TDA since he's been down there? Pretty much nothing. He's not on Twitter getting in trouble. He's not saying stupid stuff. He's not having teammates hate on him. Like, it seems like everyone is pretty much doing all right with him. Maybe it's just the culture and with the Rangers or something. I don't know, maybe he just needed that firm like smack get the back of the head, from NCIS with Gibbs and Tony. Just pop in the back of the head and be like, hey, you just do your job. You're a hockey player, not some Twitter, advocate or whatever nonsense you are. Just do your job and play some hockey. And I think that's what we're seeing out of him. That he's just putting his head down, leads the team in assists with I think like 15 or something like that. And he's like pretty much leading all defensemen in points, I think, or he's top 5. I think he's top 5 at least in points. So I mean, he's being productive, and that's something that's kind of huge, especially with his contract right now. He's kind of playing himself into maybe a contract extension with the Hurricanes. Who really knows? So I mean, it's possible. So
I think you're absolutely right. It's part of it for me. I mean, I still am one who goes on and says, I want to see Tony out giving, gifts to poor families or working in a shelter in a soup kitchen, or I want to see him. I really would like to see him give back, because I like not seeing anything bad, but that doesn't mean I'm seeing good.
Well,
But aside from the off ice, he was brought in to replace Hamilton. Dougie's got 6 goals and 9 assists, and D'Angelo has more assists than Dougie has points. So plus he's got 4 goals on top of that. He's third on the club with 19 overall points. He's a +10. From a strictly hockey standpoint, you couldn't ask for more. I mean, points per $1 million spent, D'Angelo's off the charts compared to everybody else that we have. A lot of people are looking at that. Hey, they're going to extend him that new contract. And that's kind of a double-edged sword in some ways, because we got him for $1 million this year. That was an easy decision, maybe for Waddell. But what's he going to command going forward? Is he going to be in a position to ask for a long-term contract? He's young enough that he's going to probably want something longer. Do you give it to him based upon 1 year, even if he stays out of trouble? I'm not sold on a long-term deal for Tony, no matter what happens. And points and personality are still, he's trying to show the whole league right now that he deserves a shot. If you then turn around and give him a 5, 6, 7 year deal, does he go, oh, I can just go back to being me? So I'm not surprised though from Ray. It's from an on ice productivity. He's been central to the Hurricane success.
I would say, I know they only do bridge deals anymore, but I still say I still think the league is still going to probably view him as a guy you maybe give a 2-year deal and be like, all right, still cut. You had one really good season. Show us that for a couple more, and we'll talk about maybe a 5-6 year deal down the road. So, like I said, they don't do bridge deals very much anymore, but I would, because they're throwing everyone 8-year deals apparently at this point, especially in New Jersey. I would say give him maybe a 2-year deal and be like, all right, show us what you can really do, and we'll go from there. But
yeah, Zach, when you said that you had a lot of concerns, Brad will be the one to back me up on this. Both of us were dead set against it. One of the things that we've always wanted out of our players are to be team players, team first players type thing. And he did not have that resume coming in at all. I don't care how many points he scored. That wasn't the reputation that he had. He'd done some terrible things. And the fact that he's doing what I asked specifically, is the put up and shut up, and Rod is doing what we needed. The fact that Rod screened him at the start of this and had those pre-contract signing meetings with him, I think that goes a long way. We have Rod Brindamore to thank for the way this is turning out. And there's no question, question. If you want leadership, he's the guy that's setting the example, and TDA's so far living up to it. Knock on wood. We're gonna move on to the tropical storm players. Tropical storm, Zach, who's your guy?
Honestly, this one's really tough because when you look at the team, you're looking at, you're talking about Aho, Seth Jarvis, you're talking about, Svechnikov and stuff like that. And then you maybe talking about Turbo, but then you're looking to, you get past that to like the second half, third half of the, second and the third areas of the team. And you're kind of like, where do you kind of see that guys are doing good, but not like Aho, Svechnikov level, but you're also not talking about you're got like 5 points in 22 games. Okay, this is an issue. We might need to worry about that. And for me, that's kind of a tough area for me to gauge in, because there's so many guys that you're like, oh, this guy's playing really well, but his stats don't kind of show it, or like his stats aren't. It's like it's a weird, or I think he started really hot and now he's kind of cooled off. And it's, for me, that's kind of like it's a weird area for me. And I want it because when you say tropical storm, it sounds like he's playing mediocre, and I don't really see a lot of our guys playing mediocre. So for me, like this was a really tough, I guess, area to pick a certain player that's like, okay, he's not as hot as he was, but he's still producing. And I would say right now it would be sorry, this is this is tough.
Yeah, putting you on the spot here.
Yeah. I would say I'd say my guy in like he's my current favorite Hurricane right now. I'd say Jacob Slavin. He's been playing really well. He does have 11 points, all in assists in 22 games as a +4. He's not really playing bad. It's just it's weird seeing him get so many more penalties, but that's not really his fault because he's trying to put more body on body contact, that's drawing a little bit more and stuff like that. And he's not really playing bad. Like he's not playing bad either, but it's like we don't know what his role is. He's more of the I'm going to assist the puck more than anything else. So I still think he's doing really well this year. It's like
little room to bump it up a little bit.
Yeah. I give a little room to bump it up. Let's say I want to be negative towards guys, especially when one of them is my dude. That's like my guy, and it's like that's why I said this was a weird spot to put me in because it's like, yeah, I can tell you about guys who got go, okay, you got 5 points, that's not good, but you're not got 21, 22 points. You're on a point per game pace, like Svech, Aho, and D'Angelo's playing really well. So, like I said, Jacob's not playing bad. He's got 11 points. I mean, that's what you ask of him. You ask of a guy who's mainly your assist man. That's who he is, and he plays more of like that sound style defense where he's going to shut you down, and he's not going to take like 100 something pims a season. He's that guy who's going to go, here's your 2, and that's all you're going to have. So I would say, yeah, I'd say Jacob Slavin is my tropical storm, but I say he's more of like that tropical storm. If you give him like 5-6 more points, boom, Hurricane. That's where he's at.
He's a tropical storm becoming a hurricane.
Yeah. He's just trying to get that extra, a little bit of the extra water and that little extra power. Like, all right, here's my next. Here comes my next, Norris. Here's my Norris stretch coming up but yeah, it was a tough decision. That's for sure.
It's very tough indeed. Tropical storms are still dangerous, but not at their peak, right? And that's really what we're saying. Slavin's doing his job, but I love that pick. Brad, where are you at?
I'm with Zach. So I had a hard time with this because I was trying to think, like, do I want to consider this like a second tier guy, and I kind of took it the way Zach did it, like who's on the verge, like who's a tropical storm, but they're crossing into the Gulf of Mexico and they're going to shoot up the coast through Georgia and North Carolina. And my guy is KK. So I like to remind Habs fans that they took the first round pick they got for KK and traded for Christian Dvorak, who stinks right now compared to KK. And KK to me is on the cusp. He's not a Hurricane, he's not a Category 5 right now, but he's so close to being a Category 1 and maybe jumping up to 2 because he's putting himself in front of the net. So he's put himself into position to get points. He is scoring goals. I think he's 9th on the team, and he actually has 6 goals. I mean, he's playing pretty well, but he's not quite at that next level. And some of that might be, we love all 4 of our lines here in Carolina, but some of that might be, is it time to move him up and maybe slide Trocheck down? They are different roles, but I'd like to see KK with a little more skill on his wings because I think he's so close to maybe having really a breakout and becoming a Category 5 kind of guy for us. So I'm going to go with KK because I feel like he's on the cusp, and if he can just kind of get over that hump and hit 82 miles an hour, things are going to take off for the guy.
I see what you did there with the 82. That was phenomenally done. I have to tip my hat off to you on that one. Yeah, because you think about it, because it's weird. Like, you're paying this dude $6 million to be your 4th line center. You put that anywhere else, people are going to be concerned because, like, you don't pay your 4th line center $6 million. That's not how you do it. And I mean, and like I said, I agree with you. We love all 4 of our lines down here, and it's weird because the way this team is set up, you're like, okay, well, if you move Caniac up, where do you put him? Because Vincent Trocheck isn't really a 4th line center. Jordan Stahl is not really a 4th line center. Sebastian Aho is not a 4th line center. So it's kind of like you're in that weird spot of like, what do you really do with him? Do you slide him over to the wing, or do you keep him in the center? But who are you going to move down? And that's the thing that's the crazy part is It's just he's in a weird type of spot where it's like, where do you necessarily put him? This roster isn't like, it's not like, some of these other teams where it's like it's so top heavy on the top six, you can't move them up there. But it's like, but the Hurricanes are so good 1 through 4. It's like, I wouldn't even consider them like a 1 through 4 necessarily. It's just more of like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, because they just come at you in waves. And that's how it is. Maybe on the wings, yeah, you might have a little bit of a different aspect of like that, where you do see more of like a 1 through 4. But it seems like for the centers, it's a lot of like 1A, 1B, 1C, because that's just how the center depth is right now. It's like, it's just, you can plug those guys on any one of those lines and they can produce. It's just,
I feel like you could. Sorry, Zach.
No, yeah, you're good. No, it's just the center depth is just so strong in Carolina.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
You could put KK on the second line tomorrow, and I would not think he was at all out of place. Same thing with the third line. I mean, you could Trocheck is a little different, and I think Jordan Staal is a little different, but KK is doing such a good job as a fourth line center that he's really not.
Yeah.
That if you move him up, you're like, oh, well, this is just going to get better for us. So
yeah, right, exactly. That's what I say. It's that weird thing. Like I said, Trocheck isn't really necessarily a fourth line center. Neither is Jordan Staal. It's just the way the center depth is set up. It's like that's just kind of where he's placed right now. So I mean,
before I jump in with my comments on Kotkaniemi, I just like to remind the team that shall not be named that Kotkaniemi has as many goals as they have wins on the season, so they can keep their mouths shut. Okay, over there, the team that shall not be named. Brad knows why I say it that way.
The one fan base that I regularly get pushback from on Twitter is the Habs fan base.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I'm so shocked. I'm shocked.
Telling y'all the truth. Sorry.
Look, one of the best things about what you guys have described for Kotkaniemi is that his ability and that situation makes it easier for Rod to shuffle the lines the way he does. Mm-hmm. Because there's that flexibility up and down the lineup in the center position and so forth. It just makes that easier for Rod to say, okay, who's on fire tonight, who's not. I can adjust things and there's no diminishing anywhere in the lineup. You know what I mean? Like you said, maybe Trocheck isn't a fourth line guy, nor is Jordan Staal, whatever, but you can shuffle the deck more. And that lets Rod read the team and make the adjustments as needed. And that's what makes that a great pick. For me, my tropical storm, we touched on him. He's got a goal tonight. Marty Necas. And I dig his quickness. The release on his shot is unbelievable. I love everything about it. We just don't see it every night. We just don't. There's some nights where he's just a little bit off. That quickness. He's made some gorgeous passes. I'm still thinking about that cross ice pass to Bear for the Bears goal on the back door, that one shot. It was an unbelievable pass. His sight, the sight on the ice was amazing. Those are the type of things that you love to see and so forth. I want to see more of it. And that's where he's right there. He's right there. And I'll give an honorable mention is my tropical storm, who's just shy of a hurricane. And although the way he's played these last couple of games, I think he's up into the hurricane division, is Teravainen. He was right there at the tropical storm on the verge, and he's actually peaking upwards. He's into the hurricane X-Men now, but those two were kind of neck and neck for me as far as tropical storm situation. Necas, I love what he brings to the game, and he can be a part of every portion of the team, not just the 5-on-5 play, but penalty kill, power play. He's everywhere, and he can make big contributions. I'm asking for a touch more, just a touch more. And that's greedy of me, and I don't want that to sound like I'm not just besmirching him, because I dig him. I like his work, but I just want to touch more. Because when you see that brilliance, look at that play, look at the skating, look at the quickness. You want more of that. You want to see it every time. And that's all I'm asking for. So that he was my selection for Tropical Storm.
As well as they've played, some of this is nitpicky. I mean, if we're being honest,
no question.
The last 7 games have not gone as well. But even like that Ottawa game, they should have blown Ottawa out of the water the way they played.
It's just how Anton Forsberg just played out of his mind, and that's the thing with the Hurricanes. It's like because if we had this conversation 2 weeks ago, we would have no one in certain spots because the whole team was flying out. I think it's just we're in that weird like, okay, this team is kind of, they're 1-5-1, but they're still in the top 5 in the East. They're still top 10 in the league. They're still playing really well. They just caught a bad break where they're out shooting their opponents 83-35, and they can't really get the wins because it's just how unfortunate bounces happen. Because welcome to hockey, anything can happen. So it's one of those random things. And Ray, you talk about Tavo. He did get his 100. He finally got goal number 100 the other night. So,
Isn't that beautiful?
Big
it was
congrats,
just
Tuvo.
Fantastic as always. And, of course, former Blackhawk too. So I mean, why not? So it's just.
There you go.
We'll
as
touch,
I recall,
we'll touch it on. We'll touch
they
on that.
practically gave him to us, as I remember.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, here you go. Yeah, we'll talk about the Blackhawks and all that nonsense later on. I know we probably will at some point, but yeah, it's just with the Hurricanes. It's like Tabo was a great pick. Like he's just been playing really well. So I mean, like I said, talked 2 weeks ago, we don't really have anyone in tropical depressions or who's struggling, who's kind of cooled off and stuff like that. It's just everyone gets a hot streak, everyone gets a cold streak. But I mean, the way the Hurricanes are playing right now, I'm not hitting the panic button. It's just every team goes through these kind of phases for the season. I mean,
every winner.
Yeah,
for the exactly. Hurricanes, every winner.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Golden Knights started slow, the Avalanche started slow. I mean, there's teams all over the league that started slow, and now they're heating back up. It's just one of those things where it's like you might have really great months to start the season, you might kind of fall off a little bit. I mean, look at the Sabres; they were hot, now they're falling off. I'm not saying the Hurricanes are falling off. It's just they're just hitting the hockey gods are humbling them a little bit, but they're not going to absolutely destroy them. Like, okay, here, Phoenix, here's or Arizona. Sorry, brain fart.
That's all right.
It's like here, you're not going to do anything. The hockey gods are going to do that to the Hurricanes. They're just more of like, yeah, you're not going to go 82-0, or as Brad likes to put it, 96-0, and all that good stuff. So yeah,
96 wins, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
96 wins. That's what we're looking for.
But I think it's just we're in a small lull patch. But I mean, the Hurricanes. I mean, we know how good this team is. They can just flip a switch and they go off on another like 6-7 in a row. They're blowing everyone out of the water and like, oh. Yeah, Hurricanes hit a rough patch. It's all right. They kind of hit a little bit of the land. They got back into the ocean, and now we're back to Category 5. We're going to start just knocking everyone out of the park. We're not worried about it. So there
we go. And you know what? And Zach, because we are in this, downswing right now that, up 2-1 after 1 over the Sabres, just keep that in mind. So the first intermission is underway. Because we're in that downswing, we do have a few tropical depressions on the team.
Yeah.
I'll throw that to you. I mean, we wouldn't have had before, but we do now, and let's call them out.
Yeah, I would say for me, it was a toss between two guys, and one of them I can kind of give him a break because he was hurt for a little while and needed a Niederreiter. So I'm going to give him a small pass of like his points aren't there, but he was hurt, so it's kind of like, all right, I can give you a little bit of a break on that. I think Jasper Fost for me is my guy where it's like you're playing on the third line. I know it's like you have scored as of late, but it's still kind of like we need to see you start, being that depth scoring guy that we know you can be. It's just like we kind of really need you to start doing that because right now, I mean, he's not necessarily playing terrible, but 6 goals, 2 assists for only 8 points. You are a +5 for 22 games, but it's kind of like we kind of need a little. We need to start seeing that more of that depth help and stuff like that. Because I feel like he's been, I think the last the last 7 games, I don't think he's at the score sheet in the last 5. And it's like his shots on goal numbers aren't really that great either. So it's kind of like, I'm not necessarily worried, but it's kind of like, all right, we kind of need you to get rolling because we need all 4 lines clicking. And right now for me, it's like, he's kind of not necessarily been there because he did get an assist against Philadelphia on the 26th, but that's pretty much about it. Other than that, it's been like -2 against Ottawa, -1 against Washington. He didn't really, it was an even against Seattle, but it's kind of like you're getting 1 shot, 2 shots, 3, 1 and 1, and you're averaging, your ice times, you're getting like 19, 20 shifts a game. kind of needs to start seeing more of something.
Yeah, good call. And he early in the season, I know that Foss was making some big contributions earlier in the season, but he's
Right.
kind
Yeah.
of gone off the map, right? Just like you
That,
say.
that's
And
what's
so
That's
now,
he's bad. It's just kind of like he's really cooled off as of
yeah,
late.
100%. So we need him to get back. Great pick there. A solid. Brad, you're up. Tropical depression.
We've never gotten hate mail, but we might when I say this.
Uh-oh,
So
here it
I'm going to
comes.
warn you, but I answer the mail, Ray, so you're fine.
There we go.
And I don't fully blame this player, but my tropical depression is first line Martinook. I love Martinook. I like watching him do the fetch thing. He is a hype man for the team. I like the energy he gives. And this kind of falls back onto Rod Brindamore. If I have to watch one more shift of first line Martinook, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's so frustrating to me. And I feel like it puts Martinook in a bad spot because he's a very solid hockey player, but he is not the skill guy that needs to be in line with, be it Aho and Teravainen or Aho and Fetch, or it's just not his game. And like I said, some of this comes back to Rod because you can't put him in that position and then move Fetch down to the third line where he's playing with guys who really don't, match his skill set and expect good things to happen. So fourth and third line Martinook is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about first line Martinook cannot be a thing anymore. That is my tropical depression.
I'm going to take you guys back into the time machine, and I think you're both too young to remember this, but way back in the day, when Gretzky was still with the Oilers, a lot of time it was, and I saw this many a night, where it was Gretzky, Curry, and Semenko. And what Semenko was doing on the ice, who also was a Hartford Whaler, by the way, let me make sure I put that out there. Dave Semenko was the guy giving the ice, the space on the ice for Gretzky and Curry to work their magic. And I don't know if that's what Rod is trying to do with Martinook, who's more of an energy guy, physical or whatever. You're trying to stir things up, get things going and whatnot. But you're right. He's out of place there. And I don't know if that's what he's going back for, whether it's tough to say. I don't know, but that may be the idea that they're throwing out there in the hopes that he is going to get into the corners, get gritty, cause some turnovers, and let the two other sharpshooters work their magic.
No, I could see that, and my dad loves Gretzky, so I've heard a lot about his stuff. I've read Gretzky's book and stuff like that, and just seen highlights and stuff. I think that's I can see where you're coming from, Raymond. That it does make sense where it's like Rod is trying to give Aho and whoever, Teravainen more space to work with. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Tabo did score tonight, but I mean, it's not, Martinook is not on the first line tonight, but it's like, I could kind of see where you're coming from, where it's like when the first line isn't clicking, he's trying to see, well, maybe if we throw a guy who's physical on the first line, maybe it's trying to open up the room for the other two guys to do their jobs. So I could see where you're coming from. Some nights it depends on the team that it might work that you're playing against, but you can't do that to every team because this isn't that style of hockey anymore, where it's like your first line has to be pretty much snipers and playmakers and sharpshooters, because if not, you can get torched. And like I said, it works with certain teams that you're playing against, but not every team. So
the style of game is infinitely different than it was in the 80s, right? So that's why, Brad, it sounds like I'm trying to make an excuse for the decision and stuff. I don't like it either. I would prefer the gritty guys to be all out as a mix to change the momentum of a game. You see the third and fourth line get out there, be the energy guys, and get a swing and momentum in game, in period. You know what I mean? So that's what you want, and that's where Martinook is best situated. No question.
I'd like to hear from Rod just what he's thinking, and and I think you both kind of hit the nail on the head. Maybe I'm going to put a fine point on it. The Hurricanes excel when we are moving up and down the ice, transition, right? And Martinook just isn't, in my opinion, a skilled guy of the level of an Aho where he can help really make that happen. But conversely, what fits his game really well is that Hurricanes third and fourth line role that he takes on, because in that role is where he scores points. In that role is where he gets assists. So, you know, don't give me a duck and tell me it's a dog and say, well, you know, this is my guard dog. Like, no, it's a guard duck. It might work, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea, and it doesn't mean that there isn't something better in that point. So I like I said, this is nothing on Martinook, because his game, when we put him in a position to be successful, is excellent. And that's one of the things I've learned having a kid and working at a university, is give people the best opportunity to be successful. And first line Martinook, in my opinion, is not a place where he's going to succeed consistently. Not that he might, you know, have an opportunity or two, but there were a couple of times when he was on the first line where I'm just going, oh, I wish, you know, Nino or Andre or somebody would have got that pass, because like this would have looked different, because, you know, those top couple guys, particularly Svets, Teravainen, and Naho, they just seem to have something extra.
Yeah.
And you can't replace that. Like, you can't just throw a body in there. If we were going to replace that, I say put in Jarvis, because Jarvis has the skill set and the speed to do that. So let's leave Martinook where Martinook has been wildly successful. It's the reason he got a new contract with the Canes in the offseason, is because he is a great third and fourth line guy. So let's let him do his thing.
Yeah, there you go. Guys, my tropical depression, it's glaring right now. No goals in the last 8 games. He's in a contract year. Vincent Trocheck, where are you? Where are you? We need offense out of you. We part of the strength, the start of the season was contributions from everywhere. And Vince is great in the face-off circle. He's still doing his job there so well. I mean, look, I think the Canes right now, and I'm not the stats guy. That's usually Brad. I'll tell you, I believe we are either at the top or very near the top in the face-off circle wins, you know, on average. Like, we do a very good job, and that is part of Trocheck's major part of his resume. And it's one of the things that I love the most about him. And Brad will tell you, I've said it many times before, winning that face-off is such an important part of the game that gets overlooked at times. It allows you to control the game. You get a chance to control the game right from the start. And Rod Brindamore was amazing in the circle.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic there, right? That's what you want. So look, Trocheck's doing his job there, but he needs to find the twine, and he needs to find it fast, because he's not doing much for his contract negotiations right now. If he continues on this stretch, he's gone. We need goals. And that sounds demanding and rude, and I apologize, Vince. I still love you. You're a Hurricane. I love your contributions and stuff, but we need you to tickle the twine.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, when you're top 5 in face-off wins, I mean, yeah, it's good. Like you said, you want to control, you know, you control different ends of the ice. Like if you're on the defensive side, you want to win. If you're on the offensive side, you definitely want to win it there then, because at least it keeps the puck in the zone. So, yeah, when you're top 5 in the league, you know, in face-off wins, that's huge. Yeah, you're not getting the twine, but as long as you're doing your job, I mean, a lot of teams would love to have 1 through 4 where you're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna, no matter who we throw out there, we're gonna win a face-off.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's tough not seeing Vince score, but I think, like I said, I think Vince was hurt a little bit this year too, and it's like he's been kind of, you know, it's one of those things where I try to give guys more benefit of the doubt. This is the first full season in like what 2 years? Like last year was shortened, the
Good
year
point.
before that was canceled. So like I think guys are still trying to get through a normal preseason for the first time in forever. And now you got a normal 82 game coast to coast season now. Like you're not stuck in your region like it was last year. Now you're having to deal with a West Coast trip back to back. So I think the Hurricanes have like what, the third or fourth most back-to-backs this year or something like that. I think it's like what 15 or 16. Like there's a lot of back-to-backs this year for the Canes. So I still think I think I'm not trying to give excuses, but I think it's like I'm trying to give me more understanding, like especially with, like I said, with Nino being hurt, Ethan Bear's been out with COVID protocols, now we know Svetch got hurt. We don't know how bad it is because he got an upper body. That's why he didn't play tonight. He was going to be slated for the fourth line, which makes no sense because Svetch is not a fourth line guy. So I don't know. Who knows with that? But it's like I think I see where you're coming at, Ray, and I'm not saying I'm not giving an excuse, but I feel like it's maybe Vince is trying to just figure stuff out because, like I said, we're going back through a normal coast to coast 82 game season. It's not normal. So
yeah, no, and you know what? Like, look, me, and again, you're making me rethink the tone that I used in this because it was harsh. Like it was harsh and
no, not saying it was harsh at all. No, I get what you're saying.
But I
agree.
It kind of was like, look, because I love what he's doing everywhere else. He's making contributions, and that's one of the things that Brad and I have talked about on many a night, where not all of the contributions that are important are going to show up on the score sheet. You know what I mean? Like you can still play an amazing game and not be on the score sheet. And that's fine because hockey fans who watch close know. You know what I mean?
So a great segue, Ray. Ian Cole just scored a beautiful slapper. Oh my God. It's 3-1 Hurricanes. That was
dropping that hammer. Oofed.
And it was Ian, thank you so much because that was a beautiful segue because my comment to you, Ray, was going to be there are some guys whose name you don't need to hear and they're playing well, like Ian Cole. Yes. If you don't hear Ian Cole's name, did they just score again?
Trocheck, baby.
Trocheck scored.
Let's go.
Okay, thank you. 4-1. From my mouth to Trocheck's ears. Like, honestly, can you? That's fantastic.
See, I go from a great segue with Cole to a terrible segue because just as I'm saying that Ian Cole, you don't hear his name, and that's okay because he's doing his job. But when you don't hear Trocheck's name, that's a bad thing. And here he goes making me look bad in the middle of the podcast. So I might just edit that out. Trocheck, how you like me now, brother?
I'll
leave it in.
The thing is, the thing is too, because I'm getting the live tweets from Walt. He's like in the middle of Minter, given that he's calling it at the game. Instantly, he scores 24 seconds. Like, excuse me, right now.
Yeah,
like Mentor came and get through his announcement of the previous of Ian Cole's goal to be like, oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna have to do another one here really soon because Vinny Trocheck just scored.
Big Intermail night.
And Trocheck was in on Cole's goal. He gets an assist on Cole's goal. So again, from my mouth to his ears, Vincent, thank you. This is what we need out of you.
Ray, would you like a mulligan? I don't know if you're a golfer. My dad's a big. Do you need a mulligan? Would you like to rethink who else is not playing well that you can give a boost to right now by calling them out?
Who else can I give a boost to?
Let's see. Caniac needs to score. Let's see. Nino Niederreiter needs to score.
Nino needs one. Look,
Nino, you're playing terrible. Ray says you're awful. All right, let's watch it. See.
Nino needs to score. Let's see. Sebastian Aho needs a natural Hattie.
Yeah, there you go.
Jacob Slavin needs to get his first goal of the season.
He does.
Hey, how about a goalie goal from Antti Raanta? How about that? Can we get a goalie goal?
That would be outstanding, wouldn't it? And it might come against the Sabres. Poor Subban just got traded to the Sabres, and this is the greeting that he gets. Welcome to Buffalo.
The Twitter quote of the year comes from a future guest of ours, Alex Ahari. He's at Future Canes on Twitter. He posted about the trade, and he says, future considerations might have been Buffalo's best player. Ooh. I mean, that was brutal.
I think I made a joke the other day with Courtney. I think it was like, what was it? The future considerations is a coupon for all you can eat buffalo wings in Buffalo.
I would take that.
Nice. That's unbelievable. I can't. Thank you, Vinny. You're listening. and turning things up. Well, that's what we need. Up 4-1 now, and we're barely 5 minutes played in the second period.
So
Wait, are you saying we're Ethan barely into this period?
Oh, nice. This has just become Ted Lasso, folks. We're on like our third punt of the night.
Nice.
Hey, we're very punny here. Thank you very much.
So
Ethan Bear is like a long-haired golden retriever, like a raven-haired golden retriever.
If the I think I put this on Twitter. If the Hurricanes were able to make a Cree like word, like what I forget, I'm blanking on the word that make it work, but like if they made a jersey with the in Cree of Ethan's last name on it and put it on their website, instant sellout. I can tell you right now,
no question.
I've asked for that
for Christmas. I've asked for that for Christmas. I'm still very hopeful, knock on wood, that comes through for me.
A few people have found a place that'll do them. I'm hoping to reach out. We've talked a couple times with Ethan's brother Everett, and I really want to reach out to Everett and say, is there a Cree business I can have? Because I'm a big dude. I need to get a big jersey. I'd really love to find a Cree business that'll do that for me to help support First Nations.
I'm a 4X myself, so
same. So it's
well, I layer into my jersey, and the 4X is big enough where I can layer it. I mean, I am technically a 3, but I like a 4 where I can actually throw a hoodie underneath it because it still get cold down here in South Carolina. So
there you go.
Plus, it's more spacious for a 4X. I mean, but yeah, I'd be all for it.
So we're riding high right now. We're loving this. It's in real time happening for us. Let's take a look. Maybe we've really focused in on the players, but we've got some time here to maybe expand outward and we'll grade the 5-on-5, the goaltending, the penalty kill, and the power play. Zach, you're still the guest. You're still leading the way. Where do you want to start?
Let's do this kind of rapid fire. Like give us a grade on like the power play, and then I don't know, 15 seconds of this is what's going on.
All right, goaltending. Hurricane. I mean, Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta. What more can you say about those guys? I mean, outside of Freddie, it's 5 nights of Freddie's. He's going to scare you because he's just that good. Let's say power play. Tropical depression times a million because this power play it's anemic. I don't know what's going on. We need to figure something out. Penalty kill, tropical storm. It's good when it wants to be. It's not so good when it doesn't want to be. 5-on-5. I still say it's a Hurricane because we're seeing it right now. 5-on-5 there is against Buffalo, but Buffalo's not bad. Ottawa, it wasn't bad. It's just, the goaltending, they got goalied and it is what it is. But I mean, they've outshot their opponents a lot. It's just, unfortunately, it's just no bounces have gone their way. But I still say it's a Hurricane because, I mean, look at the record. Look where they're at in the league. It's a bad shit. Yeah, it's just puck luck. So yeah, I definitely say 5-on-5 Hurricane. The penalty kill is tropical storm. Tropical depression for the power play because we all know how bad the power play is. It's just terrible. I don't know why we can't figure that out. Goaltending, Hurricane, because our goalies are just amazing. And let's shout out to Alex Lyons for coming out and just doing his job and getting a dub. So
yeah, 100%. I don't think there's really much more to be said. You graded that perfectly. I was going to say I can't disagree with any of those. No, you can't. And I think the power play, there's trouble when you have to throw 5 forwards onto the ice. That is so unusual. You really don't see that very often, and that had everything to do with the punishment back on the D and losing so many guys. Yeah. It was trying to generate something, and we saw what happened to Seth Jarvis when he was on the power play trying to and getting schooled in that Flyers game. Just having forwards back there. You see the benefits, but it's dangerous. So that's really where that starts and ends. Brad, where are we off to next?
Just real quick, because we're getting deep to it here. COVID, the Hurricanes have been relatively lucky. We've had, the timing wasn't good with Pesce especially, and then TDA being out the same time because you have, our top offensive defenseman and maybe our most solid defensive defenseman out at the same time. Are you guys worried in general about the way COVID's going to affect maybe the rest of the season, because, Ottawa's had games canceled. I think Islanders have had games canceled for sure. I'm hoping that doesn't hit the Hurricanes, but I'm hoping it doesn't hit anybody. But I'm definitely worried that, particularly if NHL players are allowed to play in the Olympics, I'm really worried about February into March, the end of February to March.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be an interesting aspect, I think, is the fact that I don't know what the protocols are going to be for the Olympics, because I forget where they're at going to be this year. I'm not really.
Beijing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, it's definitely, I think there's what the Olympics are going to need to do. I think they're like what everyone else has been doing. Like, if you want to play, you got to be vaccinated, because that's what the NHL did. And it's like, if you're not, you ain't crossing the border. So I think the Olympics have to find a particular way to get it done and stuff like that. I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but I think those 3 weeks are really definitely going to be squeaky bum time for the league, because you really don't want to come back and you've got you got a lot of these rosters cut short because of everyone catching a case of COVID. And I don't think anyone wants to see that. So yeah, it's definitely going to be, you're going to be cautiously optimistic that nothing does happen. But you never know, because you are talking international travel for the Olympics. So it's definitely going to be an interesting time at the back end of that month, especially because I think, the first game back is Columbus, I believe, for the Hurricanes, which I might be going to that game. So crossing my fingers that no one catches COVID when we try to go up there, because I'm actually taking my wife up there. It'll be her first hockey game in general. And it's gonna be in Carolina against the Jackets. Awesome. So I'm kind of excited for that. So yeah.
Nice.
So hopefully nothing happens. But yeah, I really hope no one gets it, honestly, because
And now look, we do have some good news. Ethan Bear is back in the lineup tonight after being out for the protocol, so he's made it through. Hopefully the rest of the team can make it through. I'm going to say something tremendously unpopular right now, and I apologize. And it goes against what I love, because when the hockey competition in the Olympics was always great, but it jumped to the next level excitement when the NHL players were involved. And it was a beautiful thing. I loved it, loved everything about it. Seeing favorite players from throughout the league all joining together, fighting for your country. And, being Canadian, we do have a pretty decent squad on, most years. So do a few other ones, but hey, look,
you got sweet uniforms.
Yeah, we do. Always.
Oof. I want that.
Come on now. Anyway,
Finland has the best Olympic jerseys. I'm just putting it out
there. I'm not going to argue with that.
Finland's are just fantastic.
I love the Finns. I you know what? And here's the thing. I look at the Finns and the way they play as Canada Light. They are my second favorite. They are my second favorite team. And like Canada Light, Finland. I love you. If Canada can't be in the gold medal position, I want the Finns up there. That's what I want.
Yeah. Isn't Canada more Finland Light?
See, here we go. Now we're gonna throw down right here.
No, dude. It's all good. The USA jerseys it's like the USA jerseys are like a knockoff Chinese soccer jersey that somehow became a hockey jersey. It's just
none of the blues match. There's two blue shirts and blue pants, and none of the three blues are the same.
The thing is, the white jerseys. I think the white jerseys are fantastic. I wish they kind of made the USA like crest on the sleeves, not in I don't know why we're on the corner. That makes no sense. We're not a club. We're not a soccer team. That's where they put the club crest. Brad, that's where the crest of the logo is. You don't do that for the hockey. You put them on the shoulders. That's where they go. But the white ones are the only good ones. Yeah, the blue ones, like we have a dark blue and a light blue, and it's like they don't match the pants. The socks don't match, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Like. It's like there was ones a few years back that were absolutely fantastic, and I saw a mock-up that Nasher put out that I shared on my personal Twitter, and I'm like, can we get these ones? At least they look nice. And I'm just like we always had good jerseys. Like, what the heck are we doing with these ones? Like I said, it's a Chinese knockoff of the USA kits in soccer. Like, what is this nonsense?
The next jersey should just do a Twitter poll, because Twitter has had some amazing jerseys designed, ones that are far better.
Nike has got outside of Oregon jerseys. I've also put this out on my Twitter. Outside of Oregon's football jerseys, Nike has gotten super lazy on their jersey designs, no matter what sport it is. What's it with the USA, England, I think France. I forget what year it was. I think it was the 14 World Cup or whatever it was. They all had the same jersey design, the double colored sleeves and a white jersey. They all look the same except for the crest.
Copy and paste.
Like Nike, you are so lazy on these jerseys. Like, what are we doing here?
How did we get derailed here? I was starting out with something so negative, and then we just totally went off the rails here. It's a completely different vein. My very negative comment about this that might bring me hate is that I don't want the NHL anywhere near the Olympics. I don't want them going to China. The Hurricanes have a great season on the go. I don't want the team, like all of the teams, being stuck over there, quarantined, not being able to come back because of someone catching COVID or whatever. I'm sorry. This is just it's not a good time. And can you imagine the bomb that's going to explode in this league if that happens over there? I don't like the whole quarantine situation and everyone, being careful about COVID in the league itself with all the traveling is difficult enough as it is. We've seen the difficulties already, the games that have had to been rescheduled and stuff. Now you're going to take all of your best players in the world and you're going to send them to China to play there's another, there's the whole Chinese tennis player disappearing thing that I don't want anyone going over there at all. That's another story altogether, and I'm sorry to throw that in. It's one of the many reasons why I don't want them going over there, and that's just where it's at. As much as I'd love to see NHL all-star teams fighting for their country, it's beautiful, it's exciting. I don't want it. I do worry. Don't send it over.
The only benefit, or not, maybe not benefit, the only plus to this is I think the U.S. is probably behind a lot of the countries they're going to be playing against in hockey. So, the Scandinavians and the Russians, and I think those teams are going to be fully vaccinated, everything the same as we are. If anything, I think that, Americans in general are starting to lag behind some. I do worry that, breakaway. Nino Niederreiter. Did anybody have Nino Niederreiter?
We did ask him. We did ask him to pick up his game. Zach, what a boy. See, it's like, are they broadcasting our podcast onto the bench to these boys? Is that what's happening with our guys? Because everyone's stepping up. Exactly what we're asking for. This is lovely. We're gonna have to start doing podcasts for every game if this is the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down. So. We need to wrap up, and it's really funny because Zach mentioned the logos on the kits being in the corner in a very reminiscent of an international football style. So sometimes, Zach, I'll have kind of a throw out there question with, you don't get a chance to know what the question is. You just have to shoot from the hip. Ray, you can sit this one out if you want, but I think Zach might know where I'm going. Next Sunday, a week from tomorrow, at 11:30 Eastern. The Crystal Palace is playing Everton in Premier League. I am a new football fan. Zach's like out of here, but Zach, right. I believe
thanks for inviting me on. I'll talk to you guys later.
You and I think, are both new-ish EPL fans. You have been following Everton, which I think is awesome. I chose Crystal Palace. They're both two smaller teams. They're not these giant teams. In all seriousness, I'm really looking forward to this game because I think this will be a lot of fun. I would not have thought I would have said this a couple of years ago. I'm really looking forward to my weekend football games now. And when I say football, I mean English Premier League football. But
the thing is, I do have to preface, I've been following Premier League for a long time. I was a Spurs fan for a while until the whole we're gonna make the Super League thing happen. And I'm like, all right, so you're gonna spit on the face of soccer. All right, peace out. I'm not supporting that. So I have liked Everton for a long time, but it's like they've kind of like picked me. That's how the kind of mentality is around Everton. It's like, you don't pick Everton picks you, which I'm fine with. How I'm feeling about that game, they did get smacked by Liverpool, not in a great way, and they have been playing really terrible soccer as of late. So I could probably see your I can see Crystal Palace winning because right now I'm not feeling good. Not feeling good about my Everton team right now. I'm hoping they do win, but
Crystal Palace has 16 points. Everton's got 15, so they're only a point apart in the standings.
yeah, Everton's been playing really rough as of late. I don't think we've won a game in about 7 matches now.
Giving up 2 leads, and they went from being tied to losing in injury time in like 3 of the last 4 games. And I'm sitting there, and part of me's upset, and the other part of me's going, this is exactly like the NC State Wolfpack. Like this, I made a good decision here. This is they set you up, and then at the last second they break your heart. That's what I'm used to.
Yeah, because funny enough, I am from Ohio. I do like Ohio State, but my second team is NC State because we lived in North Carolina for about 6 years, and I kind of if we stayed in North Carolina, I told my parents if we stayed there, I probably would have went to NC State because I really love the campus because we've been like even passing the stadium all the time, walking towards PNC Arena or RBC whenever you want all that. You always have to pass the football stadium. And I always loved the stadium. I always loved the camp, even go to the campus and stuff. And of course, I was a kid at the time. Like, who's thinking about college when you're like in 3rd grade or something like that? But I always liked, the area. So I've always liked NC State. So I get it. I get that connection between NC State and Crystal Palace. It makes sense.
In all honesty, best of luck to Everton next week. I think I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to turn it on and just kind of. I assume you'll be on Twitter. I'm sure we'll be messaging back and forth, maybe a little bit.
Sunday
morning. No, are you?
I'm working, unfortunately.
Always working.
I'm always. So
working. I can do all the tweeting.
That's
good or bad.
I'll probably catch it later and see you tweet. I'll see like 15 notifications from you just talking crap. We'll be like, what's the score?
The more notifications, the better Crystal Palace is doing. If it's like, man, it's 4:00 in the afternoon, or Brad hasn't tweeted at me, like you'll know that.
I'll go see the score. It's like 1-0 Everton. I'm like, all right, that works. I'll take a 1-0 squeaker because why not? So.
And my contribution to this aspect of the discussion is you both need to come to your senses and cheer for Chelsea. That's all I'm going to say. I'll throw that out there.
I mean, at least you didn't say Liverpool, but I have
no. Yeah, there you go. So that's my contribution.
Yeah.
To that
I have
Chelsea.
I have a friend of mine who's a Chelsea fan. Yeah. He brought up a thing to me. He's like, hey, would you ever want to do a soccer podcast? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I can do anything right now, but I was being funny about it because, like, how Chelsea's blue, Everton's blue. We always say, come on, you Blues. But it's like, for both teams. And I made a joke with them, like, all right, here's a podcast name, The Wrong Side of Blues.
Oh,
like, hey, so it's like
that's pretty good.
Well, and I can't be saying too much. We lost to West Ham. So
you lost to West Ham.
Hey,
who listens to West Ham? Come on now.
We can all pick on friend of the show, our Scottish friend,
Paul Lowry,
because Newcastle's.
They're just Newcastle. Let's be honest.
I hope they don't get relegated, Paul.
You know what? They got a victory too. They beat Burnley. So good on them. Paul, congratulations. Enjoy. Have a pint. Or 3, or 8, however many.
Yeah. Well, with their ownership, it's like you might need about 4 or 5 or 6. But hey, a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, right? Hey, of course, I really can't talk. My Everton team has been playing so well. So I mean, hey, what am I talking about?
Crystal Palace just lost to Burnley, so it's like can't say.
There you go.
In injury time.
So basically, Newcastle's better than Crystal Palace. Because was it Newcastle beat Burnley? Burnley beats.
Oh, there we go.
That's the math, right? Was the transitive property?
Yeah, transitive property of this guy beats this team beats this team. So in reality, this team is better than this team. And it's just like,
there
what?
You go.
It's I saw one for like college football. It was like a complete full circle. I think like every Pac-12 team beat each other. It was like a perfect circle. And it's like, how do you do that?
That's like, awesome.
What a great show.
As we wrap things up, gentlemen, the Hurricanes are up 5-1. There's about 4 minutes left to go in the second period.
You love to
look awesome.
You love to see.
I can't wait to go back and actually really focus on the game. But Zach, thank you so much for coming on. We've had a lot of fun talking to you, man.
Oh no, I appreciate it, guys. It's fun talking about the Hurricanes and stuff like that, and just talking hockey in general. I love it. So I mean, yeah, anytime we're talking about Hurricanes, I'm always up for, because I've been a fan of this team since I was a kid. I mean, I know we were supposed to talk about this earlier, but we moved to North Carolina like the same year the Hurricanes went down to Greensboro. So my first ever Hurricanes game was at the Greensboro Coliseum against the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, and that's how long ago we're talking about.
Wow.
Where they were the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. Yeah,
that's way back.
Yeah, 97. I was supposed to go with my dad to the opening night game against the Devils in 99. I got sick and missed it. So my dad went to the game and got the pennant though. The pennants that they sold. He got the pennant from that night. And yeah, so saw a ton of games. I remember the original intro where it was the Robo Stormy going across the beach and like just zapping everything with his like laser beams and stuff like that. And I'd say I've been to Super Bowls. I've been to the 50th Daytona 500, bunch of sporting events, but I still think the best game I've ever been to in my entire life is Game 7 of the 2006 Stanley Cup Final, second to last row of the stadium.
You were there?
I was there. I was there at the game. I forget what section it was. I think it was like 320. Oh, I forget because I know it was on the corner where it's like I saw it was Rod's left side as he lifted the cup, but it was like I saw his back. I didn't see his face, but we were like the back corner of the arena where it was on the side where Cam Ward made an incredible one leg chicken wing save with his leg. So that's that back corner. We were on his right side up in that corner. That's our section. I don't know what section it is because I can't think of it right now, but yeah, we were on that side where Cam Ward made that save and where Rod lifted the cup. But yeah, that's my best experience because we were living in Jacksonville, Florida at the time. We actually just came back from China because my mom got a job out there for about 8 months when I was in 8th grade. We came back, got tickets for Game 7. Like we're like at this point, it's like 3-1 in the series. There's no way we're gonna go to Game 7. It's whatever. The Hurricanes will win. Great. Make it to Game 7. Holy crap. Now we got to go. So we drove from Jacksonville, Florida that day of the game, drove up there, went there, watched it in person, got the newspaper that night, like right after the game ended, we stopped, grabbed the newspaper with Rod on the front of the Charlotte Observer, and we got it. And I still have the original newspaper and the tickets framed in my bedroom that my dad made for me. And with awesome. with the full roster lineups too from that night, like the lineup cards that you get. I
gotta get mine in frames. Dude, I was there in 335 and we had seats in 335.
Brad, dude, how about the fact we stood the entire game? The only time we sat was intermissions. That is the only time we sat. The whole arena stood the entire game outside of intermissions.
That had Grapes' attention, and every, of course, I was just north of Edmonton. I had taken the night off. I was not working for the Edmonton Oilers radio network that night. I was at home with my friends watching the game, cheering my arse off, and they made a very numerous points of how rabid the fans were. The fact that they all bought seats and no one was using them. It was the loudest they had ever heard it. It made me proud to be a Hurricanes fan, and I wasn't there in the barn with you guys, but I was there in spirit. And let me tell you, it was glorious.
Raleigh represented very well.
Dude, representing as well as you guys did. I will be
insane.
Infinitely jealous of you both forever, knowing that you were in that rink for that night, because it was a glorious night.
Oh, it was absolutely insane. Like I think me and my dad were both crying because it was just like, it was something, because you see your team win something for the first time ever, and it was just absolutely insane. And I tell my dad this all the time, like I don't think that moment will ever be any sporting event I've ever been to. Like it's like, you just can't. It's just that's how insane it is. That
I hope someday I can take my son to a game like that. Which will be a whole different kind of feeling because it'll be with my son, right? But I'm with you. You know, getting married or birth of my son, getting married, or like 1A, 1B, and then there's that game, and then everything else is way below there.
Like I said, I've been to Super Bowls and Daytona 500s and all this other stuff. Like, Game 7, standing the whole night, it was just absolutely insane. And like just driving from Jacksonville, Florida 7 hour, I think it was like a 7, 8 hour, I think it was about a 7 hour drive going to that game, and just seeing it in person was just, it was just fantastic. And that's, like I said, I like, I my fandom has always been with the Hurricanes. Yeah, I did adopt another team, but for me, it's like the Hurricanes have always been that thing with me and my dad that we've always talked about. Yeah, we're both, Browns, Cavs, Indians, and all that stuff, Ohio State. But all my best moments as a kid was Hurricanes, because there was a snowstorm. So I know we tried to end it, but bring up some stories, and it's like,
Go for it.
it was I think it was a snowstorm. It was like 2000, 2001, where Raleigh got smacked with like 18 inches of snow. I think around that time, and
January 2000.
that's what it was. Yeah, because I'm glad you remember, because I know it was one of those. I know it was somewhere in there, because my mom was out of town for a business thing, and it was me and my dad, because he worked at Midway Airlines when Midway was still a thing. So we're really talking
that's old school there.
Yeah, that's real old school, and we're talking Raleigh Durham and all that, and this is one a lot of people are gonna get their minds blown, where you can actually kind of like, I actually went with my dad to work at the actual airport, like went inside, hung out in the locker room, went out on the tarmac with him, drove the little buses that they had to push the planes back. I actually went in there with him and stuff like that. And we actually, drove around the yard trying to like push the snow out towards, get it off the runway and stuff. So this is when you were allowed to do that as a kid, to go with your parent to work. You can't do that much anymore now, but we're talking 2000. So the Hurricanes were playing a makeup day game. I forget what day it was. I forget who they were playing, but me and my dad went to work. Basically, nothing was going on. So we left, went to the Hurricanes game, and then came back for my dad to finish his shift at the airport. The airport, it's like, yeah, we're dead. You can go ahead. So we left, it was a noon game. I forget who it was against. We went there and came back. It was just,
the parking lots weren't fully plowed. I was at that game as well, sir.
Oh, okay. So I can't remember the team, but I remember that it was a noon game in January where we had a bunch of snow. We're like, you want to go to the Hurricanes game? Okay, let's go. And we just went to the game.
Very short anecdote. The only reason I remember is, so we got 22 inches of snow that night, or that January. My person who I had never met yet, who is now my wife, had moved from Massachusetts to North Carolina and got done unloading the truck as the snow was starting. We met the next day because she was living right in the apartment, like right beside a friend of mine. And obviously we've gotten married and have been together 21 years. And I remember her thinking, coming from Massachusetts going, oh yeah, I'm supposed to start work on Monday. Do you think do you think they'll be open? And I just remember laughing my butt off going, Monday, 22, like, you might go to work a week from Monday. It might be 2 weeks from Monday, but it won't be Monday.
Right. Yeah, right. So, exactly.
If you guys are watching, Vinny Trocheck just got sent off the ice for, I think, a high hit. I'm assuming that's a game misconduct. I don't have the audio on.
Yeah, but, it's a 5-minute game misconduct, because he hit Tage Thompson was turning, and he hit him from the backside, and it looked kind of rough. But yeah, he's done for the night.
Is he done for the night? I see, and the stats thing that I have is they got the 5-minute boarding, but they haven't issued the misconduct yet. So I guess that's Walt just treated 5-minute manager in a game misconduct ends in night for being Trocheck after the hit on Tage. It looks like Tage Thompson kind of like bent down at the end, and then he hit him from behind. I think it was just it was bad timing, but it was a dangerous hit. And Buffalo did score, so it's 5-2 now. But yeah, Tro is out for the rest of the night. He got a game misconduct and a 5-minute major. Now, I haven't had a chance to see it. If you did see it, is it suspendable?
I'm not so sure. It did look malicious.
I would say it's probably like a slap on the wrist, maybe like a fine at best. You would have to be a lot to get a one gamer, but I could see where they might give him one, but I still think it might be more of like you're going to get fined type thing, if anything else. Because Tage was kind of turned around, and he did him in the back of the numbers. Was it malicious? No, but dangerous? Yes.
Yeah,
So,
and Trocheck's not normally that guy. I mean,
No.
he plays hard, but he's not known as a dirty player. So
no, well, he's no PK Subban, Mr. Slewfoot. So
Slewfoot, yeah, that's
well,
exactly.
he Subban Slewfooted tonight again against the Winnipeg Jets, but of course, no one's going to sit. No one's going to do anything about it.
It wasn't
but,
called.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it wasn't
Like,
called. Yeah, no.
Suspend them. Seriously,
But,
enough is enough.
That goal
Slewfoots are
might
so
come
dangerous.
back, gentlemen. Just so the review. Oh no, it stands. It was almost a stick above the crossbar.
But okay, so Brad, so you're like, sorry, so it's you might go to work in a week, maybe 2 weeks. So like, because like, what happened with that?
So she was out of work the whole next week. Our apartment complex didn't even get plowed for 8 or 9 days, I think it was.
Oh my word!
Because I mean, it's Raleigh, North Carolina, so when you get 22 inches of snow and you only have like 4 plow trucks in the whole full city, everything shuts down. But we had a couple of friends. They knew we had season tickets, and they came over and they were, they're 4x4 people, so they came over in Jeep Wranglers and Jeep Renegades and things and picked everybody up. And I can remember us doing donuts in the uncleared parts of the at the time RBC. I think it was the RBC. It might have been the ESA still. But I can remember us doing donuts in the parking lot.
RBC,
and before the game, and I was so scared. I thought Christina was gonna. I thought we were gonna crash, but we're just doing donuts out there. We went to the game. I can only remember there being a couple of thousand people showed up because the roads were terrible.
Oh, they
live on a main road. They weren't passable.
Well, here's the thing. We drove from Apex. We weren't even in Raleigh. We came from Apex Cary area to go to the Raleigh Durham Airport and then to the Hurricanes game. Like, it wasn't just like a straight shot from there. Yeah. Oh, the roads were terrible that day. Yeah.
It was awful, but we had a lot of fun.
It was a great game because it's a noon game for the Hurricanes. Like, why not? Right. So
we walked in and my tickets are on the on the upper level. And we walked in and they're like, oh, the upper level's closed. And we're like, well, where are we supposed to sit? And they're like, wherever you want.
That's we were center. We were like about about 30 rows up center ice to where you could still see both ends of the ice perfectly. We're not getting blocked by the bench or anything like that, but they were still great seats though.
Yeah.
I'd say
we were right down by the face-off dots where the Hurricanes shoot twice, 5 or 6 rows up. I'm like, I'm in heaven.
The best seats for a Hurricanes game I've ever had. It was against the Penguins and it was glass seats. And I'm like second grade. And I am absolutely loving it because we were on the end where the Canes shot twice. And I'm talking, you're a kid on the glass. I'm loving it. And unfortunately, they don't do like how now where you see kids getting sticks, pucks, all the other stuff. I was just excited because I'm on the glass right there and guys are getting smacked against it. It was just so many great memories of just Hurricanes games as a kid. And like I said,
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, and like
we'll have to have you back on. We can swap some more Kane stories because like I said, we've had a lot of fun. So
I appreciate it. No, thanks for the invite, guys. I've been really enjoying this. It's just talking about hockey in general, especially the Hurricanes. Is like I could talk Hurricanes for hours.
We could too. We try sometimes.
We absolutely could. I guess that leaves just one thing left for us, right, Brad?
Go Canes!
Go Canes!
Go Canes!
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Ray and I greatly appreciate your support in helping us produce an informative and fun podcast. As always, we'd like to say that we believe hockey is for everyone. Whether you're a Caniac or a bunch of jerks, doesn't matter, as we're just a couple of jerks anyway. We would love to hear your questions, comments, and suggestions. We will do our best to answer anything hockey-related. You can reach us via email at stormcellar97@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at stormcellar97, and on Facebook at facebook.com/stormcellar97.